on, everyone? Happy Monday. Welcome to a new week. And we got a whole lot to talk about. So hope you had a great weekend. Happy Mother's Day again to all the mothers out there. But remember, it's Mother's Day every day. You get brownie points. I certainly did in my household with my family. But we got a lot to talk about, and I mean a lot. We got a lot of baseball. Obviously, the Orioles are taking on the Yankees in Baltimore, so that's a huge series for a lot of different reasons. Orioles are trying to maybe rewrite the script from what happened the last week, where the Yankees, essentially putting it lightly, just took them behind the woodshed, and now they're trying to bounce back. Later on, we will talk to Michael Kay, lead broadcaster for the Yes Network and the Yankees. Fredi Gonzalez later on in the program, and in a few moments, we'll have a guy that you will hear throughout the baseball season, one of the best pitchers in the game's ever seen, and one of the best pitching minds, and I guess, and a scratch golfer, if that's still the case for what I'm sure he still is. And then we also pay tribute to Bobby Cox, baseball legend, for so many different reasons and impact, a second father to so many. And that's also, it'll be great for our guest in a moment. So, John, if you're good, just give me a thumbs up when you're ready to rock and roll. He's ready. So, and for our audience, we are on time. So we appreciate you guys. Hit that like and subscribe button. But without further ado, let's bring on Hall of Famer and baseball analyst broadcaster John Smoltz. John, you there?
I am. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I appreciate you. I know it wasn't the timing to get to talk with all the news coming up with Bobby Cox, and man, there's a lot of Bobby stories. You know, it's a circle of life, but man, Bobby Cox was one of one.
Yeah, he was. There's nobody who didn't touch Bobby Cox or be around him that wasn't impacted in a positive way and wasn't better for it. I can't think of a guy that he impacted more than me. I spent the longest time with him. He traded for me as a GM. He got me over to the Atlanta Braves organization for the Doyle Alexander trade. And then he managed me for about 19 of those years. And there was no doubt about it. Once I got to know Bobby, and obviously as a great manager, I was going to do everything I could to stay my entire career, and almost did, with that last year being split between Boston and St. Louis. But you cannot even imagine what it's like to have a manager that instills confidence in you, treats you like an adult. If you're not an adult, teaches you how to be an adult. He had such influence and impact on so many guys' career, and he believed in the player, even if the player didn't believe in himself. And you know how hard this game is and how we go through the ebbs and flows. And it's real easy to jump on and off a bandwagon of a player. And he was not one of those managers that did that. He entrusted in the process and the work that was put in, and he knew that we would not take advantage. He had 3 simple rules. I talk about it all the time, and people go, no way. It was wear your hat right, don't cover up that A, and be on time, and have no music blaring anywhere. Put your headphones on. And if you couldn't keep those 3 rules, you didn't deserve to play baseball. And for the most part, he led us 14 consecutive division titles. And I would argue 3 of those years we had no business winning the title.
It was, you guys had an unprecedented run. And one thing that, of course, people love the theatrics of Bobby Cox, right? They love, who doesn't love a manager that has a little passion? I know in Baltimore, right, it was Earl Weaver all those years, where people loved it. But you said about setting the standard and it was instilling confidence. You know, was that in your mind Bobby's strongest, trait, was how he allowed the players to kind of reach their potential? Or is there any story along the lines maybe with your career which kind of embodies everything of which you just described?
Yeah, he knew the game was hard. He played it, and he understood that you're going to go through these ups and downs. And he looked past the stats. He looked past what everyone else would easily say, get him out of the rotation or get him out of the lineup. For me in 1991, I had the perfect storm. I had bad negotiations that went through in the offseason. I let it affect me personally. I went 2-11 in the first half, and everybody was crying for me to get into the bullpen or sent down to the minors. We were 9 games back of the Dodgers that year, And Bobby stuck with me. I think he even said it's the best 2-11 season you'll ever see. And I was able to keep getting the ball every 5 days. I went 12-2 in the second half, never looked back, pitched those 3 most significant games. He did it with hitters too. I remember Kelly Johnson came up, and Kelly Johnson, I think, went 1 for his first 29. And he kept putting him in the lineup because he said his swing was good, his process was good, and he was going to get hits. Now, when someone's 1 for 29, you don't really have any reason to put him in the lineup. It's stuff like that. And he would do things throughout his career that just marveled players. Players would have incentives, and then he would ask the coaches to go around and see what incentives players had, and if he could help them achieve that, because he knew it was hard. He knew the game wouldn't last forever. He did it. And I just watched time after time him taking a player and going, hey, you're not going to hit 300 for the year. He's having a rough spell, rough start to the season. And he'd say, how about hitting 300 for the week? Can you do that? And the player would say, absolutely, I can do that. So there's so many things. You couldn't stay in his doghouse. If he did something to tick him off, he gave you the luxury of getting out of it really quickly. And then if you did the same thing over and over again, you weren't going to find yourself there very long because you weren't willing to learn.
It is always just, I wouldn't say fascinating because nothing surprises me. Just for me and my upbringing and getting to hear the stories of Bobby Cox and the impact that a manager can have in so many different ways. And especially, though, what I do marvel over the fact of your Atlanta Braves, it made it seem that it was routine to win as much as you guys did. That was one thing I remember talking to you about before. And that is so damn hard. It is so damn hard to play this game. It is even harder to go out there and be competitive year after year. And you were. And I look to, of the leader of your squad and Bobby Cox, and he certainly did. And, I love the fact he lets you guys be you. Are you still? How's the golf game right now? By the way, John, is it still on par? Pun intended.
Yeah, he's the reason I'm a really good golfer. He allowed us to play golf in between starts. He didn't buy into the eyewash. We call eyewash spring training when you do drills that are just time killers just to keep you there because. And he never let the separation of position players and pitchers get in the way of opportunity. And so he would tell position players, you see those 3 guys leaving spring training every day at 10:30, 11 o'clock, get over it because we're going to win because of them. And he understood that we weren't taking advantage of anything, and he didn't keep us out there just to keep us out there. And it was the reason we won. And he led by example. And the one thing that I can tell you is his attitude and his way that he went about navigating season after season. Didn't have a lot of meetings, didn't do a lot of crazy stuff, didn't create any corny sayings or anything else. He basically knew that if you could upheld those 3 rules and give your best of what you have every single day and be prepared, you were never going to have a problem with him. Now, one thing he did do that spoke volumes to everybody is when he took out Andrew Jones in the middle of a game in what he thought was not the accurate effort. And Andrew's the greatest center fielder I've ever seen in my life. And it may not have been accurate from Bobby's view from the dugout, but it was a point he made that never happened again. And if you're going to do that to that kind of player, whoever's on the bench watched that very intently and knew that no one is immune from it. If he called you in his office, he was straightforward. He didn't blow smoke. He told you bluntly what your role was going to be and what the expectations were. And if you didn't like it, you could have gone down to the minor leagues. That's what he would say. So he was awesome. He'd be part of a joke. He would help you do whatever you needed to do. And he provided opportunities for unique situations that no other manager had the guts to do. I'll tell you, I stayed my whole career playing for Bobby. I turned down all kinds of money. And when I tell you about this last story, it's significant to the point where he did it. And I had an option on my 4th year of my contract while I was a closer. And that option was basically unreachable. And so you look at it that way and just go, it's just kind of an option, so throw away. It doesn't really mean much. Well, that option had a 59 or 58 games finish clause. So if I got the last 3 outs 58 times, it automatically kicked in that option. Well, 2 things are going to happen. If you finish 58 games, that means you're in a lot of games. That means you're winning, and it's going to help. And then the other thing is you got to have those opportunities. Well, Bobby in the second half came to me and said, "We're going to get that option." I was like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, you just have to tell me when you can't pitch." And he had champagne waiting for me after I got my 58th, games finished. That meant that next year was going to be guaranteed. He took pride in that. And I'm just telling you, you don't know what that means as a player when your manager's pulling them as hard for you as you're pulling for yourself. You're going in the right direction. And he did that a lot with a lot of different players.
I feel like everybody has that love for him because you felt that love back. It was truly we're in this together, and I have my best interest not only for you but for the entire team. And the definition of being one and being on the same page, that really was. I look at it. It's not a coincidence you guys had as much success as you did. Now, you did have some very damn good pitchers, you being one of them. I still love that story of Greg Maddux waving off Leo to walk. I think it was Luis Gonzalez. Was that the story?
Yeah.
And then Greg was pretty good too, John, from what I've seen or what I could remember. And but it was the combination of the greatness of the players, the manager you had, but also the manager allowing the players to hopefully reach those heights. And that was really special, and such a great architect for the Braves, but also just what a great ambassador for the game. I can't say enough good things about it, and I'm glad then for your sake as well. Your golf game definitely is. Is it still on course though? You didn't it's still good.
It's the best it's ever been, and I'm about to turn 59, so I'm hoping it stays this way for quite some time. I've unlocked a couple things, and that's the nature of sports, right? You hope it lasts, but we just got to take advantage of the moment.
Hey, so what was harder for you then at times, closing out a game or trying to put a ball 150 yards out within 10 feet?
Well, closing out a game was the most mentally challenging thing I've ever had to do because I had to learn a whole different set of standards and discipline and workout. You name it, it was A to Z different. But it's still pitching. I get it. It's a mindset thing. Hitting a golf ball and making and executing under the gun is still the hardest thing to do because it's just you. If I came into a game and closed a game, my teammate could bail me out. Or vice versa. You could have a situation where it doesn't go the way, it should have. In golf, there's really no alibis and excuses. It's you, Mother Nature, and the randomness of which you get a bounce here or there or a break here or there, and you think they're all going to even out. But I just love the sport. You can play it a long time, and it really tests your patience, your mental fortitude, and you can take some things from your previous sports and apply them, but there's a lot of them you can't.
Certainly is. It's a baseball, golf, both very mental sports. But you're right. Golf, you really can't put any blame on anybody else unless maybe Mother Nature's playing a part in all of it. But
yeah.
The reason why there's so many things I could talk to you about, John, but also another reason why I wanted to talk to you about was pitching and the art of pitching. And nowadays we know that there's still an art by some. There's guys that just have ridiculous stuff. But one thing that I wanted to actually talk to you about, because we're seeing it in Baltimore, and the ability to put guys away. So like for this Orioles staff, for instance, they have good potential, right? One of the stats that I've seen, and Zach, maybe you can look it up for the full team ERA, but one thing I've noticed, John, and what they've talked about is being able to put a batter away with 2 strikes. It's been a challenge. Is there anything that maybe you can talk about when it comes to that? And maybe for the Orioles, is it – I'll start with that part. For you of setting up a player with 2 strikes and putting them away, what's the hardest part there?
Well, the hardest part today is nobody reads swings. Nobody is athletic in the moment and knows how to adjust. They've got too much information. They go only by the information and forget the human factor of that day. That guy may not have the swing. He may be pulling off the ball. There's just not a recognition at the mound. It's more robotic, and it's all done by, for the most part, analytics. This is what you do in this situation. This is in a perfect world, in a dome with everything being equal, I would say analytics has more of a play in the game and in the sport. But when it's human factors, I don't feel as good. I don't have my best fastball. My slider's not breaking. You have to be able to adjust. That's my biggest concern in the game. So when you talk about putting away hitters, I've watched games almost longer now than I've played in them. And I see it over and over and over again. They don't understand, A, where to put a ball consistently and where to put the pressure on the hitter from the previous pitch. If you've thrown a previous pitch in a certain area and then you're nowhere close to that area just because you're chucking it as hard as you can or you're spinning it as hard as you can, you're not going to have the effect and you're not going to be able to put away hitters. You actually are adding pitches, non-competitive pitches, to a stupid pitch count that everybody's so obsessed with. And the next thing you lose the opportunity that you've been given to get the advantage over that hitter. I know we have an ABS system that there's 2 challenges, but it's only 2 challenges. Why not put so much pressure on the hitter, the umpire, and the catcher to at least acknowledge when or where they're going to make those challenges? But we don't even get close as an entity because here's the deal. Guys aren't ready to pitch. They're ready to throw. They're not been developed in the minor leagues. There's a necessity for them to throw in the big leagues because of injuries and lack of pitchers. We don't have pitchers anymore. Very few are you could look at and say that guy knows how to pitch. It's stuff oriented and stuff. And it's a repeat of the same pitch that makes me nauseous. They have convinced every pitcher in the game that if you have an analytical great pitch, throw it and keep throwing it. And it doesn't matter how many times the hitter sees it. They don't understand that's not a good thing. They've never been in the box. They've never been on the mound. They don't understand how the game works. And so when you see these scenarios that it calls for a no-brainer and most of them aren't going to it, that's a long-winded answer to answer why nobody can put hitters away, because they are stuck with all of the information and they don't take time to recognize the feel for the game and what adjustments need to be made.
And I feel like we're seeing the 2 combinations, right? Because on the hitter side, there's a different philosophy about how they're going about their business and the 2-strike approach to, OPS and slugging versus putting the ball in play. But for pitching, because that's what we're discussing. And Zach, I think if I was looking at it correctly for the starters, I think for the Orioles right now, if I was checking it, there's no one with an ERA. Dean Kramer's only pitched twice, has an ERA at 4.09. But guys with more starts, Boz is 5.48, Bradish is 4.83, Bassett's 5.21. And did you find the stat, Zach, on how many 2-out hits that they've given up or runs by chance?
As a team, I can get that real fast.
Okay. Because, John, that was one thing that we're seeing. I think the Orioles in that case are ranking towards the bottom. But for you specifically then, I think I already know this answer, but I would love for you to tell our audience, for you, your game plan, how did you want to establish yourself as a pitcher on a nightly basis? I know you're going to then see what you have, but what establishes you on a day-to-day when you're on the mound?
Well, we had a different reward system, okay? And our reward system was you pitch, you get paid. You pitch a lot, you're going to get paid. It wasn't striking out 12, walking 3, and giving up 2 solo home runs or 4 runs, and that be considered a great game. It was about navigating the lineup and going as deep as you can. So for me, I had to know what I was good at, and I was good at a fastball down and away. I put pressure on all the hitters, especially right-handers, trying to recognize whether or not they were getting a fastball away or a slider. And then I had that split that could change the eye level and change the angle to which left-handed hitters. But the reality is I'm not going to show you all my pitches early. I'm not emptying the tank in the first inning like every pitcher does, because I know they're not asking pitchers to go through the lineup 3 times. But you're still giving hitters an opportunity each at bat to see the same and every pitch that you have and no really guesswork. So they're just looking for a mistake. The style of hitting that exists today is a one-plane swing for the most part, and it's swing as hard as they can and get that mistake and launch it over the fence. There's very few 2-strike hitting approaches. So a pitcher doesn't have to adjust much when he's got a free swinger at the plate, and vice versa. A hitter doesn't have to adjust much when he's got a guy that can't command the strike zone. So I was always navigating anywhere between, I've thrown games where I had an 88-mile-an-hour fastball because I was banged up and a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. And I found a way to pitch in both those lanes. You talk to any pitcher today or you watch any pitcher today, and the moment their velocity goes down, the sky is falling and they're out of the game as fast as you can imagine. They're using metrics on a scoreboard to determine when to take a pitcher out of a game. when their eyes should be simply put on what a hitter is telling that pitcher that day. A hitter will tell you if you've got your best stuff or not. But the bigger thing is when I'm teaching a generation of pitchers as an organization or a philosophy to throw it as hard as they can and spit it as much as they can, I can't teach both. I can't teach command and velocity. And that's the rub that we're dealing with right now. And matter of fact, you can't teach velocity and health. Not any of those organizations that are good at what they're doing, stacks, tilt, stack, whatever the philosophy of today is, to throw it as hard as they cannot say, look at my roster of pitchers that I've kept healthy. They can't do it. They won't do it. And so when you have that problem in the game and yet everybody's chasing the same thing, you have a real problem in an industry that is just, oh, well, next guy hurt, next guy up.
And to add into all of that, John just said we got the stats. So the Orioles in this case, again, up 121 hits, Zach, with 2 outs.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that right. That's tied for second most in baseball, only behind the Dodgers. And opposing players are hitting 258, John, with two outs against the Orioles. That's the 4th highest in baseball. And I'm with you because I see how guys set up, right? How I was taught growing up, right? You establish your fastball, and that can then make your other breaking ball or off-speed pitches more effective. But you got to locate to then set those up. And if you don't have to use your off-speed pitches early, then you don't. If your fastball is getting all the hitters out, John, why show your other stuff if you don't have to, right? That's one of the MOs of the game. But it is just spinning it. And I've watched a lot of it of mislocation. So but there are some guys that are doing this really well. What are some pitchers that you lock in and go, I really like how they work? Doesn't have to, not just Baltimore, but I just mean around baseball. You're studying so many arms. You see so many arms on the national level. Who are guys that you think are doing that good job of being surgical with their approach?
Well, we don't see many of them, and I'm going to surprise you with this one because I'm so happy for this young man because he's been bounced around because he's not an analytical darling. And it's Bryce Elder of the Atlanta Braves. He has not been given a fair shake in his career because he doesn't have sexy stuff and he doesn't wow you with strikeouts. But all he does is pitch and stay healthy, and now he's getting a chance because of the injuries of the Braves to go in there every 5 days. If you don't think he now has confidence that he's not going to get removed or sent down, there's a big part of that I think I've called it. We are in an era of we are actually devaluing the pitchers. We're stunting the growth of greatness. It's just mind-boggling that we could run an organization like this and think that that's okay long-term. We're looking for Paul Skeens. We're looking for Tarek Skubals. That's great. We all should have pitchers like that on their staffs, but they're not going to all come in and do that and stay healthy. So when I see Bryce Elder and he knows how to pitch, he knows how to change speeds, get the ball off the barrel of the bat. Yes, his bad games, he may give up 6 or 7 runs. So what? But we're in an addictive society that wants strikeouts. We want to eliminate the barrel. We want to eliminate contact. We want exit velocity for hitters, and we want strikeouts and velocity for pitchers. And I'll tell you, it's a broke system if you're trying to do that every single time. We have a bad reward system. And your question asked earlier is because we are chasing stats and not looking at better ways to win games. We are a stat-oriented paid sport. And it doesn't even, that's why they say wins don't matter. Now, that's the thing about baseball that drives a lot of people away from it. It crushes the majority of our fans because when you get to a Stratomatic style baseball game, and we have seen now what happens when you execute some great World Series the last couple. You saw a Toronto Blue Jays lineup and a Dodgers lineup that were 2 of the best at putting the ball in play. It was back to baseball. It wasn't just swing from your hips, swing and miss, and a bunch of strikeouts and walks and non-action. It was baseball. And I think we'll see that. Well, first of all, they got to get this negotiations worked out. But I think we're starting to see a slower turn towards it. But if we don't develop pitchers and stay in the lane of de-developing greatness and stunting the growth of these great arms and not giving them 3 to 5 years to even have an opportunity to pitch along, we're never going to see, mark my words, we're never going to see a Justin Verlander, a Garrett Cole, a Zach Wheeler, a Clayton Kershaw, And we'll never see an Adam Wainwright. We'll never see you can see where I'm going. A generational pitcher that pitches 15 to 20 years that you know what you're going to get, we're never going to see that again. Because as soon as a young man loses his velocity, he's gone. He's gone. Like something's wrong with him. And he'll never be given a set of new tools to work with how to navigate like Verlander has done for 10 years and 15 years. He's a perfect example that survived the two eras and has been able to flourish in the midst of it.
Would you say, John, when it comes to the roles for teams, and the last question I'll have and I'll let you go. How important for a staff with the starters, and this is kind of going back to Bobby Cox, where we talked about roles, because I see right now about people want versatility both offensively, they want it pitching wise. How important is it to know what your role is, even as a pitcher, a bullpen guy, when you had to make the transition where you were going to be, hey, in this situation, you're our closer, right? I don't see as many long relief pitchers. I don't see as many guys that know exactly what their role is on a day-to-day night. How much does that impact, the mental side for a guy in preparation?
Well, first of all, the guys running the game don't understand because they've never put a ball in their hand. They don't understand why a guy can't pitch in the 5th inning and same guy pitch in the 9th inning. They don't understand why certain things just don't make sense to them because on paper they do. And when you, again, don't develop guys and throw them in the pen when they don't have their 2nd or 3rd pitch, but they have the ability to eat up 40 innings, you're taking a broke system and filling it in with just arms. And so when I don't understand why we don't have a 3-inning guy. Why is there not a guy in the bullpen of every team that can throw 3 innings and save this micromanaging that exists when you have a winning formula? You go 6, 7, 8, 9 with relievers every single time and the same guys every single time. And then you're going to run into a long winning streak and you can't use those guys because they're throwing every single game because starters don't go long enough. Why isn't there that 3-inning guy? Why are we not developing guys to eat up innings twice a week, 3 innings at a time, and save the bullpen? These are the reasons why we are dealing with the injury rate in both areas of our club, starting pitching and bullpen. From the very beginning, analytics tried to eliminate starting pitching, and they did a great job because they figured that's where they'll save money. Then they did such a great job at eliminating starting pitching, they've tripled and quadrupled the salary for elite guys that stand out because there's no competition. So you wonder why every team's looking for starting pitching at the end of the year because there is none. And that's another a byproduct of what we've done in our game. There's no real intriguing matchups that make you want to go to a game and watch. There's probably 6 to 7 handful of starters that you go, I got to go watch Paul Skeens when Tarek Skubal's healthy. I got to go watch him or Mizorowski or any of the guys that are unique. And, oh, by the way, eventually we'll have Tommy John. So that byproduct of what you're asking is something that always had and always was in our game that has been eliminated because they can't quantify it, they don't know how to teach it, and they're in a hurry up, fill the gap with an arm that isn't ready, but he's got to go to the big leagues because out of necessity.
Man, John, I could hear you talk about pitching and the dynamics in baseball all day long, but I want to be respectful of your time because I know you're trying to enjoy your time as much as possible. Last piece of advice, how do I get rid of a golf slice? That's what I need to know because that's my biggest problem, John. I'm a lefty, and that thing just we have problems.
It's like a damn boomerang.
It's tough. It's tough. What do I need to work on here?
Well, without seeing your swing, the biggest thing you've got to do is you can't be lateral, meaning in hitting. Just think about hitting a baseball. You want to stay centered between your knees, and you want that front shoulder to not get too far in front of you when you're swinging. Get your follow through to be a little bit lower. If your follow through's high, you're going to fade it. If it's lower, you're going to have more of a draw. So a lot of it has to do with the takeaway, the first 6 inches that you take away the club, and your follow through. Everything else is byproduct of staying back and getting the best angle that your club can hit the golf ball at.
Okay, so I definitely need to stay back and get the best angle, not get too high. I definitely get too high at times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I sometimes have gotten too low, and I've hit a lot of pop-ups to shallow right and to second base too many times, John. And then I've lost a lot of balls that way for me as a lefty. But I appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time. Always love talking ball with you. Thank you for sharing the stories with Bobby. I love to be able to continue to share those because it was such an impactful part of the game and still will be, in my opinion, as we continue on in the history of it. So anything we should know about you, what you got coming up?
Well, I've started a new league called the Pro. The ProGolf.com is retired athletes. We're in our 5th tournament coming up in Savannah, May 18th. We've got a race to the championship that'll end in September. 80 players playing for $500,000 purse, all retired, all competing in that competitive void that all sports leave you with. And we've got some of the best golfers in the world that are ex-athletes for a lot of pride and a lot of bragging rights.
Well, so how do we feel about your chances?
Well, I've been in the top 10 I'm the commissioner, which I'm going to flush through the duties of that, right? So I have to do a dual role, but I am getting closer and closer. These young cats like Aaron Hicks, such a stud, Tyler Clippard, Marty Fish. I mean, we got guys, Joe Pavelski, that are just, they mash it. And at 59 years old, I can hold my own. And I'm going to tell you this right now.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if I come away with the championship in September when it's all said and done.
Well, I'm kind of expecting it now, right? You had all those years down and playing when you were going. You had the Liberty. Are we piping the ball 300 some yards, or are you just you're a
No, I've been training a little bit for that swing to get back to 280 to 300, and 2 new hips have helped that. The hips were bad for a long time. I got 2 new hips. I got a new lease on my life in golf, and certainly tournament golf is no joke. You got to be able to put the ball in the hole better than you do when you're just playing giggle golf. Anybody can do that with their buddies. It's for real. And we're a professional trash talking tour, so baseball right now has all the bragging rights because we are dominating the pro. But the other sports are coming.
I need to see this, and I need to hear the smack talk. And now the pressure's on. Now I expect it. Next time I talk to you, wherever this is, I'm going to need an update, and I expect to hear you won
here's my goal.
Tournaments.
Here's my goal. I don't know if it'll happen this year. Maybe it'll happen at the end because our championship turns into a match play, which really will separate some golfers. But as the commissioner, I have taken the trophy and handed it to Tyler Clippard twice. I've handed it twice to Aaron Hicks. We're in our 5th tournament. At some point, my goal is, on behalf of the commissioner, John Smoltz, I'd like to hand the trophy to John Smoltz.
I need that. And when it happens, I'm going to follow along, but if not, I need to get a text that it happened.
Absolutely.
And I need a photo of you handing it to yourself.
Okay? That would be great.
All right, John. Well, hey, good luck. I appreciate you. Thank you. And I look forward to catching up with you soon.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, John Smoltz, everybody. I was serious about the golf advice. I need it.
I know you do.
Like I do.
It's bad.
Okay, whoa. I have some very good moments. We all have good moments and bad moments.
Yes.
It's true.
Yeah.
You know what? Put me in a good scramble. We're good
scramble golfers.
We are great scramble golfers. Zach, how's your game?
Awful. Just awful.
I
played one time. I can't hear, so I've been trying to figure this out this whole time, but we're moving. My computer's just shit right now.
Mine just went into hibernation mode.
Yeah, I could only hear sometimes when John talked, and I was like trying to get it through. So I loved his analytics rant, though. I heard that preaching to the choir.
I wonder what he thinks about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder what his thoughts were on how things are. But I thought he gave so much insight, and it wasn't just the one team. Obviously, though, the Orioles, like we talked about, what's been the Achilles heel for their pitching staff has been putting away batters.
Yeah.
2 strikes, 2 outs. The location of the pitches, setting guys up. And one thing I'm glad, and I knew he was going to say it, if you don't have to throw a certain pitch, don't throw it. Let the hitters dictate what you should do.
Why? It was such a good conversation. I didn't want to just interrupt, but what you're hearing from current players, Why is there such a deviation? Is there so much reliance on analytics that much that they're just not even paying attention to this kind of stuff? Like, why does it feel like that it's just gotten so lost on them?
It's a philosophy thing. So when you're taught that this is your best pitch, then you probably think you need to throw that pitch more. But in the other side of it, that's why I talk about with guys that have power fastballs. Almost everyone can throw hard, but what John was saying is whether you throw 98 or you throw 88, if you can locate your fastball, that's going to set things up.
Yeah.
And if you don't have to throw your other pitches, don't throw it unless the at-bat dictates you to mix it up. So the first time through growing up, at least on my side, I was taught use your fastball as much as you possibly can. And if you have to get guys out because they're getting on your pitch or they're having good swings, hey, throw those pitches. And then the second at bat up, now you can play the unpredictable game. And also, you might say that this is your best pitch, the slider, the curveball, but what if you don't have it that day?
Yeah.
So
we talked about that with who was it? Was it Charlie Morton last year?
Yep.
Like his curveball wasn't working. That's obviously his best pitch.
Exactly.
Was his best pitch. And but that specific day, I believe it was his fastball that everybody was whiffing on.
Yep.
And then what did he do? Went right back to the curveball because that's what analytics, I guess, told them, or whoever was behind the dish was feeding to him. And so like it was just kind of like a big head scratcher. But so like that example, I think, is a perfect one of what you're bringing up of like, hey, like there might be a day where your best pitch isn't working and you're just going to throw the analytics out the window. Yeah, but it seems like that's just not happening as much as it should.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, for all pitchers, and everyone will tell you this, and this is even going back down to the lower levels. And John made the point right there. As a hitter, as a pitcher, even as a defender, except defense, this is why defense needs to be on as much as possible, because that is the one variable where you feel you can make the routine plays consistently. Because if it's a good hop and you're in the right position, you have the mechanics and the control to make the plays. For pitching and hitting, it's a battle each and every time you step on the mound, every time you step in the batter's box. So in this case, sorry I get a little detailed here, but here we go. The whole part of it is Gunnar struggles right now, right?
Yeah.
Is it a physical struggle with Gunnar? Yeah, physically he's not getting the hits, but it's mentally there's something for him that it's not connecting. The mental side's not connecting to while he's hitting, and he's not feeling like he's staying back on the baseball. So analytics might say to a pitcher, well, Gunnar typically likes to hit the ball in this area. We're going to attack elsewhere. But Gunnar, actually, if he's cold, well, no, you pitch to your strengths and understand what he's going through.
Right.
You can attack him then differently that day. And then for Gunnar's side of one of the pitchers doing, how are they wanting to pitch you? And Zach, I think I was seeing something about Gunnar. They were attacking him a lot away, right? A lot of pitches away from him early on, right? It's a huge part of it.
I don't know what it is. Gunnar Henderson has never been able to read an outside pitch. I don't know how many times over the past few years. He just has no conception of like where it is, because so many times he'll argue a pitch after the ump rings him up and he'll be like, are you that's so? And then you look at it and you're like, Gunnar, there was 2 inches inside the strike zone. Outside corner has done Gunnar dirty so much over his career. But I don't know if it's a spin thing, what it is, but that's where pitcher, hey, book's out. And you see it so often, 2 strikes, they're outside corner. They're trying to pepper the outside corner because, hey, if you leave something inside, we know Gunnar, whether he's feeling good or not, can put that 400 feet. It's when Gunnar's feeling good, you can tell because we see the outside pitch. He's using the whole field.
Yeah, I did a rip after dark just for a little shits and gigs the other night. And I think actually that's a better way for me to go back, because I actually broke down the wheel play scenario, which thought it was a little too early to do the wheel play in that scenario. And Bradish was pitching really well. There's a lot of different thoughts about that. Love the idea that you wanted to, did not like the timing or the execution. But watching Gunnar, when you know why sometimes it feels further away for him on pitches away, Zach, is because his body and the momentum, when you're off and you feel like you're pulling off the baseball, then the outside of the plate feels even more distant. Mm-hmm. You feel like it's a ball because your body is going a different way.
Right.
And so with all this being said, this is the human element side that that the analytics aren't going to be able to fully help you. The reality is if you don't square up a baseball, you're going to know. If you're not hitting the ball the way that you can, you're going to have all those answers. But it's that day. How does that pitch feel? How does your swing feel? Why is Sammy Basayo on a bender right now, Zach? Where's the ball going?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Pepper in that thing.
Adley Rutschman, everywhere.
Yep.
So when you're on, all those things go well. And that's not an analytic part. That's just trusting yourself. And as a pitcher, the same concept applies. Pitch to your strength, locate your pitches. You're not going to have all your pitches that day. Execute the ones that you have and battle through the other parts of it. So we could go all day, all night, all year on that topic, but I appreciate John Smoltz. And how about those Bobby Cox stories about instilling confidence and giving the incentive for the players? I freaking love that.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
And by the way, roles matter. Roles matter on the team. It helps when you have those set. So if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. We appreciate you, and we appreciate Zach.
CQ.
There you go. Look at that. Was that better?
Yeah, it's actually.
Did you like that one better?
Yes, you can do your thing, and then I'm looking at Gunner's stance right now because Baseball Savant now lets you see angles and how open he is. He is definitely. I was just trying to see if maybe something with the outside pitch of where he's set up from his stance, and he obviously has a little bit more open stance, but I don't think it's much. I was wondering if maybe the way he was standing back off the plate or something was why it feels like that outer edge of the strike zone always gets him, but I'm not seeing anything too different than the usual.
Okay. I'm also trying to. I had it right here. Now I can't see. My computer is just dark right now. Nothing's popping up. It's gone. It's gone. But you know what? The show goes on. Guys, so if I can read this, and I don't know why it's in yellow print right now. Oh, there it goes. Got it. Hey guys, so we appreciate our friends over at CQ. To show appreciation, both new and current members will get $350 when you open a new CQ Total checking and rewards account by June 30th, 2026, and meet qualifying conditions within 90 days of account opening. Terms and conditions apply. To see the full details at cqmd.org/350. Again, 350 when you open a new CQ Total checking for both new and current members. The Ryan Ripken Show is sponsored by CQ, federally insured by NCUA. There's a lot of letters I have to spell out there.
Yeah.
But we appreciate all that. Do we want to go around baseball for a second before we have Michael Kay is going to join us at 4 to talk about this upcoming series? The Yankees just had a rough series themselves, by the way.
Oh, yeah. They got swept.
They did, but they're still playing good baseball, and unfortunately here
Playing with a chip on their shoulder coming in, of course.
Of course they are.
Of course.
Yes.
I saw they got swept by the Brewers, and I was like, why? I was like, why? Why do we have to have a bounce back series now?
Well, something's got to give here. You know, the positive you want to look at for the Orioles, positive. They had two really good pitching outings. I thought Bradish pitched really well. I thought Bassett pitched really well.
Yes.
They really could have won 2 of 3 in that series.
Mm-hmm.
But we know that's not what happened. But they won the finale. The Yankees are coming to town, chip on their shoulder. And they obviously have put it to the Orioles this year, outscoring them 39-10 in the Bronx, winning all 4 games. The Orioles sit 1-6 in the division when they open up tonight. First pitch at 6:35.
Bro.
Yep.
Are we going to talk about the Basayo play at the plate?
I mean, we're going to get into moments around baseball. So, yes, lead us in, Brad.
I was just going to say, I mean, we're talking about yesterday's win. You know, the one.
Yeah, show it.
That. Well, I don't have it.
Well, I meant like just talk about
But no, I just like that to me, like if the Orioles go in and like have a strong performance against the Yankees this series, that has to be like a pivotal moment in what's going on with the ball club. Just because you have this throwdown, Basayo's there, you don't really see collisions like that anymore at the plate. But like the way that he got hit by Cortez, yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he stood up and was just like, "Vamonos," like, let's go. Like,
Thank you
it
for
was
the translation.
definitely like You could just read his lips. That's what he said.
Well, I know, but that's good translation. That is let's go.
I did just come back from Costa Rica.
Look at that. So it's intact.
So anyhow, it was just awesome to see. It was just kind of like, damn, like that guy cares about baseball and cares about this team winning. Not that the other guys don't, but you could just visibly see it on his face that, like, I'm here.
I mean, it was leadership, and that I've seen a lot of people who have followed him throughout the minors talk about that's, even though he was always the youngest guy on the team. I mean, hell, he's the youngest guy on this team still. That was the type of leadership you got from Samuel Basallo. He was a lead from the front. Hey, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to show you the energy. I'm going to show you this passion. And I'm going to do anything I can to help this team win a baseball game, even if it makes, means going out there and, getting bowled over. I will put that out there. Did drop Cortez from my fantasy team after that. We have an absolute zero tolerance for that crap here. I was like, oh, any other catcher you might still be on this squad. Trying to run over Sammy B. He got his walking papers after the game, but that was also because he hasn't hit a homer since I picked him up. Yes. There was a lot that went into it, but that was the last straw. I was like, not only are we not getting any homers out of you, Cortez, anymore, but now you're running over Sammy. Unbelievable.
I'm sure he's really torn up about it.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what actually probably cried this morning thinking about it. It was probably an emotional time.
People don't understand. It takes an emotional toll on players when you get released from the fantasy baseball lineups, rosters. Yeah. That might be the most devastating part of this whole thing.
It was.
I mean, it's heartbreaking. It's a business.
On Mother's Day of everything.
Of all days.
I will say on that, I think I saw someone talked about it. I forget who it was. Not that I wanted him to drill Sammy. If he slid, I wonder if that would have caused an injury to somebody, because it was such an awkward where the ball was caught and where things happened. I'm glad everyone's okay. I'm glad a little pissed off Sammy Basallo. But above all, with that situation, how about a bang play? You talk about making plays defensively, and Tavares in center throwing an absolute hose to home. Those are plays. That was a game-winning play that your defense made. That when it looks up in a 2-1 ball game, that's a difference between who knows what happens where you possibly lose, where you win a game 2-1. And that is the plays right there. When you see it, you go, the Orioles have that ability. They have it. It's doing it consistently, night in and night out, to give yourself a better chance. I also thought Dylan Beavers, good for him, swinging the bat, competitive at bats. There's a lot of good. Adley just missed a grand slam. But the little things, it's the little things that matter that can help get you on track. Because if you don't get on track, then some teams are going to say, hey, we're going to blow this shit up, which I think is actually happening now with the Giants at this moment in time, where they have all these contracts. They are the worst, if not one of the worst teams in baseball right now. And Zach, what the reports out are rumors from Bob Nightingale that they just want to blow it up.
Yeah, this is going to be a fire sale of all fire sales. It looks like it's going to start with Robbie Ray, who is going to be a free agent after this after the season. Guys like Matt Chapman, Rafael Devers, who we'll get to in a second. It's a lot of big contracts, so it's going to be interesting. That's the biggest reason that they kind of want to offload these guys, as it is just massive contracts. But I think the biggest thing that now people are talking about is with the now, hey, they are looking to offload the specific contract that was mentioned, Rafael Devers. It brings up the question of, is this one of the biggest lose-lose trades we've ever seen? Because if you're the Red Sox, you lost your franchise cornerstone guy. He was the youngster on the 2018 World Series team. Then now he's the guy. He's the superstar you gave all this money to, the life of the clubhouse. You trade him, get nothing in return. And we'll get to nothing for them, because I think Kyle Harrison is really putting it together in Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah.
You get nothing for him. Then you get Joe Tibbs, and you're like, okay, they trade Tibbs for half a year of Dustin May. That does absolutely nothing. He walks in free agency. You got nothing from him. And then they trade Kyle Harrison for Caleb Durbin, who has been statistically I believe, third worst third baseman in all of Major League Baseball. So you went from Rafael Devers, and all you got was half a year of Dusty May, and then you get a very big downgrade at third base. And then for the Giants, you now possibly have the worst contract in baseball. Your team is going absolutely nowhere. There is more drama as the days unfold, to the point, Ryan, where sometimes you can't even have the right guy come out of the bullpen when you're asking questions, when you're calling to the bullpen and you make the call and the bullpen's like giving you signals of, who do you want us to send out? We have no clue.
Did you see that, Brad?
No.
So they went out to the bullpen to make a pitching change, and they had a double barrel action. So they had a righty and a lefty going to the bullpen. So Tony Vitello goes out there to make the pitching change.
Yeah.
But when they signal to go to the bullpen, they didn't signal which pitcher, lefty or righty, and they couldn't get the attention of on the mound of being like, hey, and they're trying to stand up. Like, is it lefty, righty? And it was just the bullpen coach is trying to figure it out. The players are trying to figure it out. And that was just a microcosm of a moment of being like, damn, it's tough sledding. I know
of what the Giants actually are, by the way, too. Like, because it's been a little bit dysfunctional over there as well.
They've struggled, and one, a lot of focus is on them because of the move that they made with Tony Vitello going into this year. They have talk about a veteran team. They have a lot of veteran players on that roster. And on top of it, you're playing in the division where the Padres and the Dodgers are playing really well. And then the Diamondbacks are trying to fit into the formula. And then Tomoyuki Sagano and the Rockies are trying to put it together, which why didn't we sign Sagano back, Zach? Birdland, right? You wanted him back.
I will say I saw I believe he was a former player for the Giants. He was on doing one of their post-game radio shows, and he went off. And pretty much the big thing was he was like, you're getting lapped by the Padres and the Dodgers, but I can't even be mad about that because, like, it's the Padres and the Dodgers. That's how it's been. They're like, you're now getting lapped by the Arizona Diamondbacks, and that's just embarrassing. And then at the end he goes, and oh my God, the Colorado Rockies are lapping you this year. He was like, they are looking like a million times better run organization than you, and that needs to be the final straw. It's like, you've dealt with being fourth in the division before, but if the Rockies you're making the Rockies look good, now things are getting interesting. I will say, though, as much as we give guys crap, and obviously Smoltz talking about it with analytics, you go to the complete opposite with Buster Posey and the Giants, where they're going off of just straight vibes. Hey, we're ball players. I'm going off of, hey, this is what we need. This is the feel for the team and all that. And let's just say it's not going too well. So maybe you do need that happy marriage of analytics and feel, because all feel not going too hot.
Well, then also, and I like Tony Vitello a lot, is just everything I've heard about him and watched. But talk about the expectations for a team. It's a new manager with a veteran team that they still have a plan that they expect to win this year going into this year. And now all of a sudden you got to take a step back and figure out what you're going to do next. And I'm curious because there are a lot of good players that can help teams on that ball club if they decide to move players and blow it up. From the pitching side to position player side, there are a lot of options that the Giants could look towards. But when you're looking at options here, we know the Orioles are looking at how they can improve their team. There's other teams. The Guardians made a move recently. They got Patrick Bailey from the Giants. That was the first selling point. But people are going, well, all right, you can start making moves. And I've heard the question of, well, are we going to start seeing that happen more here upcoming, right? When is that going to happen? Could the Orioles be a team that makes certain moves?
Yeah.
Or do you just maybe have a different option that's already in-house? And where I'm going with this is there are reports out there of the conversations because Jackson Holliday is apparently progressing through this next evolution of his injury with the hamate bone. But now the next evolution of Jackson getting back to the big leagues might be him playing third base, Yeah, that is actually what is out there right now is that Jackson Holliday is taking ground balls at third to open up the option that he could play third base. So there's a lot to unpack in this conversation. And if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. And before we get to that rest of the conversation, from one stream, Zach, to another.
It's up. We're so bad.
Boom! Our friends over at AutoStream Car Care Center, they have 11 locations and counting. If you have any car issue, because it's not a matter of if, it's a when, head on over to AutoStream. And right now, through the end of June, they're running a double play promotion, 2 oil changes for $99.99. Can't beat that price. And then on top of it, because we just had Mother's Day, they are doing Mother's Month. You can get any service 10% off. Any service. All you got to do is use my mother's name, Kelly Ripken, and you will get 10% off any service at AutoStream Car Care Center locations. So from that stream back to this stream, this Jackson Holliday conversation of the third base option. So there's a few things here. The first part I'd have is probably around when we talked to Dr. Yoni Zach last week when Westberg was shut down, and they're saying they're going to see how his elbow reacts. I don't like to jump to conclusions. This has no indictment on anything with Westy as a player. Jordan Westberg's your third baseman when he's healthy. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. You see his value when he's not there, specifically. But also this is telling that the Orioles are going to have to make a decision here in the next few weeks with Westy if they want to make sure he's ready for next year, if it comes to that. But then that also means, what do you do with the third base position? Because right now you have Kobe, you have Blaze Alexander, and you have Jeremiah Jackson, who's predominantly playing second. So you're trying to figure out what that should be. And I got asked what my thought is in the breakdown of it. Simply put, can Jackson Holliday play third base? I think the answer is yes, he can play. He's athletic enough. I trust that he can, but that's not the part that is. And I can hear your heavy sigh of,
yeah.
It's not about if he can play third base. Is that the right decision to make for a young player coming off the injury and hasn't played third base in the big leagues? I think that to me is the bigger concern for him, is that he finally was getting comfortable playing second. I like what he's done. I know the thought is, what about Jeremiah Jackson? But Brad, I'm assuming that's your concern, is you put him at third, or you putting him in a position that he could be uncomfortable with.
Just lack of consistency yet again. I mean, this is what we've been talking about for the last basically 2 years, really since this newer town has started to come up through the bigs. And we could go all the way back to when Adley got called up. It's just like there's just no consistency, and they need that. So like, obviously Jackson Holliday was a shortstop before getting called up, and you're not going to replace Gunnar in that position. So of course it made the most sense to put him over at second. I just don't see him being as prolific, and I could be wrong, and I hope that I am, if this is what the direction they decide to do, as prolific of a third baseman as, you know, now that he's finally started to get comfortable somewhat over at second base. And we kind of saw flashes of that towards the end of last year. Then you're going to bring him in cold, essentially, because he didn't really play much of spring training and going through injuries and everything else. I just don't like it. I don't like it at all. This just goes right back to everything that we've complained about philosophically, or at least I've complained about philosophically, and the whole thing where everybody can be a platoon player aside from pitchers and catchers is just kind of nonsense to me.
And the thing is, you want to be able to have the versatility. Like I do understand.
I get that part.
I know. So, but my point is, for a guy like Jackson, he's young. He just had been committed to playing second 140 some games last year, played a couple games at short. He's understanding of the actions, but you're going from the hot corner now. Your reaction time is different than when you're playing shortstop and second than going to have to play a third. And this is just all what if hypothetical, but personally, I know it's because of, you want to keep Jeremiah Jackson in the lineup. That's where this all stems down to. But I think for Jackson, there's going to be a learning curve because he just hasn't played that position enough. It's not that he can't do it. He's athletic. He can make a move. And people are saying, oh, worried about arm strength. I'm not really worried about that. It's more about routine reps. It's the same thing. I feel bad for Kobe in the situation. He played third all of his career in the minors, but then he prepared the entire offseason to play first. You signed Pete Alonso. You still want him to play first. Westbrook gets hurt. Now you want Kobe to go back to third. And, of course, he's going to say, yeah, I can do it, but he hasn't done it enough at the big league level. Right. Same thing with Jackson Holliday. You made him play second. He went through some growing pains. Having him play another position while he's coming back, my focus could be how can we make this process as seamless for our young, which I think still is a star, right? I think he's got a lot of potential. I don't want to add on to his plate. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
Because the next year, what's going to be the debate? He's your second baseman next year. At least in my mind, Westbrook's your third baseman. So it all goes back to those conversations. I feel like we could go on and on about what could be. The good thing is Jackson's feeling better. And if that's the case, he should make his way back to Baltimore sooner than later. But at the end of the day, time will tell. But it is something. It goes back to what Smoltz said. If you're a veteran, I would have a different conversation with Jackson if he had been in the big leagues for a long time and seen this. You know, they're more comfortable with themselves. Time will tell. The biggest thing is get healthy, one, make the decision. But I think that's more of an indication we are not going to see Jordan Westburg the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So that's the unfortunate part of this. So if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We're live Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. If you missed earlier, we had John Smoltz join us to reminisce about Bobby Cox, but then also talk about pitching dynamics. And you guys know I'm still a baseball nerd at heart, so I love getting into the nuances and the little things of the ins and outs of the game. Later on, we're going to have Fredi Gonzalez join us, former Braves manager and Orioles bench coach. But in the meantime, which is great for us, I always love getting to talk to who I think have become legends in the sport and the broadcasting world. Now that I've seen it from one side as a younger kid going into, actually, I remember going into Yankee Stadium as a young kid with blonde hair, to now playing, to now being on the broadcast side. So, Michael, if you're good, just give me a thumbs up behind the scenes. We good to go?
Yep.
Cool. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring on broadcasting legend. You'll hear him on the call with Yes Network, Michael K. Michael, can you hear me?
I hear you great, Ryan. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm trying to remember the last time that I had a chance to see you, and it might have been back in the day when I was that young kid with blonde hair running around, all over the place. But my last time up in Yankee Stadium running around on the field was 2001 was that one. And then I was there for the last All-Star game. So I just can't remember the last time I saw you, but I really appreciate you taking time.
Well, the last time you saw me, my hair was darker, and I had more hair in the power alley. So I'm sure it was a while ago.
Do you really want to talk about hair now? in this scenario, do you know the family bloodline that I got to deal with?
It's your mother. It's your mother's dad. That's what it is. That's how it works.
I'm praying that's the case, but people keep telling me all the time.
It's not looking good for you.
Hey, you know what? We're trying. I'm 32. I'm hanging in there. It's fine. And you know what, Michael? I'll take if I can have your look as I get older. That's a win for me in my book. So I think it's great. I would love to ask you. I know you've had a lot with John Sterling. We're talking about the impact, and we talked about Bobby Cox's impact earlier on the game and the sport. I feel that I must ask you for your input, and I know you had a special relationship with John as well. But for those that don't know the impact, it's more than just the Yankees win. And I know in Baltimore, not a lot of people like hearing that phrase. But for me, he was a legend for this game. Could you just touch on his legacy for the sport?
Well, the funny part is, Ryan, that he's one of one. I just don't – I never met anybody like him before, and I don't think I'll ever meet anybody like him for the rest of my life. I've never, ever come across anybody like that. This is a guy who lived his life and broadcasted with his own rules. He didn't like being told what to do, and he had a singular style. So in terms of a legacy where, people might follow the way he did it, I don't know if anybody could do it the way he did it. He did it the way he wanted to do it, and it was different than anybody else had done it. And for some reason, it worked in New York. And, he once told me when we first started working together, he got really upset when the Yankees would lose. And I said to him, John, I said, why do you care if they win or lose? They don't care if we have a good broadcast. And he looked at me, he said, Michael, my boy, he goes, if the Yankees win and we're broadcasting, that means that we're bringing good news to people. And when you bring good news to people, they end up liking you and you could have a job for a long time. And boy, was he right, because a couple of years later, they won 4 of 5 World Series in a row. So 4 out of 5 World Series. And we became associated with that. So it was beneficial to us, and he knew exactly what he was talking about.
Well, and the broadcasting people become part of everyone's daily routines. When you turn on a game or you're listening on the radio, you become one with the moment, right? And I think that's what's so special about the game. And I'll be honest here. You just brought up 4 or 5 championships. Could you we wouldn't mind one down here. It's been 43 years since the Orioles have had that. And maybe we can just touch on then with the series and the Yankees. And I was hoping you guys would come in hot. I was hoping that you'd leave Milwaukee winning all the games and not losing, because there seems like, Zach, you put it, there's going to be a little chip on the shoulder overall. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's your worst fear.
Yeah, definitely was the worst fear. Yankees coming in hot after the Orioles, or Yankees coming in with a chip on their shoulder when the Orioles are trying to figure it out.
So Michael, give us the lowdown on your perspective.
I'll tell you what, the thing I got over the weekend, Milwaukee's really, really good in a different way. They don't hit for home runs at all, but it's like a basketball team that pressures you for 94 feet. They're always running. They're working the count. They're grinding out at bats. They put the ball in play, and their bullpen is exceptional. One after the other. Guy comes in throwing 90. Next guy throws 99. Guy throws 100. Guy throws 101. One after the other. Just even, in the old days, in the late 90s, the Yankees would do damage because they would get to the starting pitcher, work the count, get to 100 pitches, then you get to the underbelly of the bullpen. There's no underbelly of the bullpen anymore. And a team like Milwaukee, they could go to their bullpen in the 5th inning and they're going to bring out quality. So I think the Yankees had a little bit of an awakening. They were in 2 of the 3 games. They got shut down by Mizorowski on Friday. He was great. They lost 6-0. Then they lost in extra innings 4-3, and they lost yesterday on a walk-off 4-3. So the Yankees right now, they're 1-8 against teams that have winning records. So that's the thing that their fan base is concerned about. Well, we can't beat good teams, which I think is ridiculous. They beat Seattle. They were supposed to be good. They beat the Giants when no one knew the Giants were going to be bad. But I look at it this way. I don't know if you guys agree. There's a lot of bad baseball being played in the American League. I think a team like the Yankees could sleepwalk their way to 95 wins. That's what they do in the postseason. And, you mentioned 40-some-odd years, and Oriole fans are starting for a championship. In New York, it's so weird, Ryan. Yankee fans are so angry that it's been 17 years since they last won. I mean, they want Brian Cashman gone. They want Aaron Boone gone. They just don't care about good seasons anymore. And the Yankees give them good seasons every year. All they care about is the championship. So until they win one, they're not going to stop.
I mean, that's the expectation that has been risen up there, right? It's championship or bust. And yeah, it is crazy to believe it. It's been 17 years now because New York is always in the race, always in the hunt, it feels like. And one other point, when you mentioned the Brewers, fair to say a similar team that gave them issues in the series was the Rays, because the Rays are that way too, right? They scratch and claw. They want to bunt you to death because I think that they want to create chaos and try to win maybe some lower score games and have it be tight and trust on maybe some of their arms. And the Yankees, you guys got some power. You got some pop. I mean, Cody Bellinger had been on a tear for May. You have Aaron Judge. And then the pitching staff. What is something about the Yankees that you think through and through all of this, their strength has been so, maybe doesn't get enough for the credit? Because for me, I think it's the way that the pitchers, whoever comes in for New York, seems to create I don't want to say a dominant role, but there's a presence with the group that they bring in, it seems like, each and every series.
Well, their starting pitching is outstanding, Ryan. It really is. And Cam Schlittler has just been amazing. It's hard to believe the stuff that he's doing. And they're only going to get better because you're going to get Garrett Cole back at the end of this month. So I think the weak part of this team happens to be their bullpen. They don't have a lot of swing and miss out there. And maybe that'll be solved because somebody's going to have to leave the rotation and probably go into the bullpen. And that could be tonight's starter, Ryan Weathers. You know, he's a left-hander who throws 98 miles an hour. So he could improve their bullpen a little bit. And I'm sure that Brian Cashman will probably look into making trades for some guys going out of the pen. But their strength right now is the fact that they hit homers. They got a deep bench. They got a lot of moves that that Aaron Boone could make. But 1 through 5, their starting staff is going to give you a quality outing every single time out.
Can I ask you then a question on just the dynamics? You know it better than me. I've been looking at the stats, but how many are regulars on the Yankees each and every night? You know, if they're having, you know, Aaron Judge is a regular, Belly's a regular. How many guys are penciled in the lineup if they're fully healthy each night for the Yankees? Would you say maybe 6?
Rice is a regular, Judge, Grisham, and Bellinger. Ryan McMahon has been sitting against lefties because they like Rosario in that spot against left-handers. Caballero is essentially a regular, although strangely he's sitting today. I haven't gotten downstairs yet to find out why. He's been every day regular, so much so that Anthony Volpe's been kept down in the minors.
Yeah.
Chisholm's a regular. And for the most part, for a catcher, Austin Wells is the regular. And, you know, every day game after night game, they'll play J.C. Escara. So he runs out pretty much the same lineup all the time. The interesting thing, just going back to Milwaukee's played 38 games now. They've had 38 different starting lineups. The Yankees pretty much roll the same starting lineup out most of the time.
Yeah. That was my point, because the Orioles, I would say they've also rolled out a lot of different lineups. They have maybe 3 or 4 regulars that are in there each and every night. Ward, Henderson, Alonso, and then Adley and Basayo are trying to mix in a little bit more. And also, you mentioned J.C. Escara. That was my former teammate, Michael, with the Orioles organization. So I've gotten.
What a great guy. What a great guy.
He is. Hey, give JC my best. Tell him to shoot me a text back. I'd love to. I'll come bother him a little bit, but I'm so happy for him. To wrap this up, 2 things. If you can give me one of your favorite Yankees Orioles memories over the years, do you have one that sticks out to you over time?
Probably the Bernie home run in the postseason. What was that against Myers? That was pretty amazing. I think that was one of the first times that John, going back to John Sterling, said "Burn, baby, burn." You know, Bernie goes boom. I think, you know, he was the first guy he ever had any kind of call like that for, and he really gave it his all on that one. That was a great moment, and a bad moment, obviously, for Oriole fans is, you know, the Jeffrey Mayer situation, because that still seems seared in everybody's mind.
I wonder why. Some people might pull their hair out for those reasons, Michael. You know,
don't do it. Hair is so valuable, Ryan. Don't do it.
Oh gosh. And final thing, you know, you've been around the game for so long. Do you have any moment with Bobby Cox yourself that maybe sticks out, or something that you've appreciated from afar?
I really don't. I didn't really know Bobby. The thing that I appreciate from afar, how consistent that team was, and you know, he ran the team the way he wanted to. And you know, everybody I spoke to over the weekend about it, one thing that stood out to baseball people, Ryan, is that he's one of the last managers that wore spikes. Managers just don't wear spikes, and he wore spikes every single game. So Boone told me that somewhere along the line he's going to wear spikes to honor Bobby Cox. I said, well, why don't you do it now? He said, I don't have any spikes. He's got to go. I guess he's got to go buy them. But I guess managers don't wear spikes anymore. I didn't know that.
And, you know, well, also, do you still have your own attire? Is that your uniform you're wearing each and every night?
You know what? We're one of the few regional sports networks. They make us wear jackets and ties every single day. And I was just in Milwaukee. They wear Brewer stuff. You know, when the Orioles were in town, Kevin Brown had Orioles stuff on. We have to wear a jacket and tie every day, except if it's over 98 degrees.
Then what are you allowed to wear then? You're allowed to wear a...
Oh, we could go nude then, Ryan. No,
maybe I'll turn the broadcast off for that one, you know?
Yeah, that'd be a good move. They let us wear Yes Network shirts then. But for the most part, it's jacket and tie all the time.
Oh, amazing. Well, Michael, I appreciate your time. Go figure out why Caballero's not in the lineup tonight. Enjoy your time in Baltimore. It'd be great if the Yanks let the Orioles win this series, and they'll make everyone a little bit happier here. All right.
You got it, Ryan. I'll talk to Aaron Boone about it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Appreciate you. Michael K, everybody.
That was awesome.
Would you tune in 98 Degrees? Naked Michael K?
I'm telling you, about going viral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're looking for clicks. I mean, that's the name of the game these days. You got to do what you got to do.
The two things I love with all this. One is why I love talking to people who've been around. Michael's, you could say what you want about how you feel about the Yankees. I love the impact that they've had. Michael K, John Sterling, Bobby Cox, all different reasons, but growing up, it's so cool to see those attached and the impacts that you have with teams.
Yeah.
I think it's so special. You want to go back in Baltimore to a guy like John Miller. You remember with John, why there's so much of a connection, why so many people were hurt when that whole situation went down, which, that's might have been a different reason of why not John's doing,
Right.
But it's all part of it. And also, I want to talk about what's going on with the Yankees. He's the number one guy, too, to talk about the New York Yankees,
Yeah.
98 degrees. Now I can't get that image out of my mind now. 98 degrees.
That's a very specific,
Love it.
temperature.
Yeah. I will say I was hoping when you asked him his favorite Orioles Yankees moment, I was thinking he was going to say when Nate McLeod hit the foul pole. Yeah. the fair ball, We're going to rewrite history.
Yeah.
We'll give you guys the fan interference. You got to give us the foul pole.
Yeah.
Simple.
None went in the Orioles' favor.
Yeah.
Well,
kind
of course. Consider the source. Is anybody really surprised by that response? I mean, I would think not.
No.
Like the buck, it hit the foul pole, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Buck was a manager for the Yanks too, so I mean, I'm sure he's got some memories there as well.
Yeah, he does. Certainly does. Woo. Well, it's getting hot in here. It's not 98 degrees though, so guys, don't you worry. Ryan Ripken Show. We are not stripping down fully.
Well, I guess Buck's best memory would have been something to do with Costanza changing uniforms. I would imagine.
Yeah. The one thing with the Yankees, that's why I talk about the uniform. I mean, they finally changed the beard concept or rule, but for the longest time, right, clean shaven. You always had to wear presentation.
Well, so it's not completely though, right? You can't have a full blown beard. You have to. It's
got
either
to be groomed. It's a groomed beard.
They can have full blown beards. I thought it was just mustache.
No, now they can.
They can have beards now. But it's got to be maintained. Yours might play.
Yeah, I forget who did they change it for.
Devin Williams.
Yeah, and then he sucked. The Yankee way, baby. It's my favorite thing. That's my favorite. All the Yankee fans, whenever they see someone with a beard, they'll be like, I can't believe we threw away the once great, proud Yankee franchise just for Devin Williams to blow games.
You know what? In defense.
Oh, God.
In defense, I would have, and no offense to Devin Williams, I would have rather watched him throw the games with the beard, because when he showed up clean shaven, I understood why he had the beard. Took, not in a good way, probably 15 years. He looked 12 on the mound spring training before they changed it.
Yeah. Well, he had the big beard for the longest time, and he shaved it going in.
And then
that's why he's
it
mad
after.
Yeah.
You can't change it after, homie. Once he's shaved it, you
So
just gotta
much.
be like, hey, that's the rules. We're keeping it. Sorry.
Another time, I'd love to have Michael K come on and just talk baseball stories.
Yeah.
Curious, when is the 98 degree? What's the hottest game you've been in? Now I want to know those questions.
Yeah.
Screw the Yankees Orioles part of this. Let's see hottest moment in the booth. But also the Jeffrey Mayer one, that did suck. That was
Nobody's going to let that one go.
nope. You okay over there?
Oh, yeah, no, I just got, talking about the analytics stuff. Just got very excited. Orioles lineup out versus a lefty.
Sammy's in there.
DHing.
Yeah.
Finally.
Let the kid hit. Let the kid hit. That's what I'm talking about.
Holy shirts and pants, man.
Also, I will say I just saw an interview with one of his former players, and they asked him what Bobby Cox would have done if the GM walked into his office with a lineup card. And he said he would have told him to get the F out of here. Don't come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
Maybe that's why Buck's not back in baseball.
I think we are, and we've had conversations about this at winter meetings with people. Like, I think we're unfortunately on that. It was all feel, and then we've taken the full turn of everything is so hard analytics.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have to even it back out eventually, like over the next. I think actually we're starting to see it
The
go
pendulum's
back.
got to swing the other way.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see it go back because for a while it was all, if you're not on this analytics train, you're getting left behind.
Oh, yeah.
And
It
now
was the Billy Bean effect.
Yeah, and then
which took 20 years somehow to get to this point. I don't know why it took so long.
Yeah.
It's been 84 years.
Yeah.
It's been 80. Oh, I don't have my hog glasses.
Speaking of hogs, Brad's poll is back.
Whoa. Okay.
I know it's been like a week and a half.
Is that the same thing, Zach? That was
We're talking hogs and
what's
polls.
what's the problem?
two different things.
Two different things.
Two different things.
What's the problem?
Oh, he still hasn't met Ryan Hogg yet.
No, I know
he
of.
met Scott Hogg.
I've witnessed it.
Scott. Anyway, how's your poll looking today?
It's a little light on the engagement, but it's probably because it's more focused to the ladies. And, you know, our demographic, our viewership is heavy on the dudes. But, and I wanted to put this out, last week, but obviously I wasn't here Thursday, and then we were golfing on Monday, and so, like, none of that happened. But, to the moms, and I said in parentheses, or if you're dude, ask a mom. What type of Mother's Day gifts do you prefer getting? So the options were flowers. This is actually pretty evenly split so far. Flowers, traditional, obviously very traditional. Jewelry, also kind of like along the lines of traditional. Handmade gifts. And I guess maybe there's an age limit, right? Because you probably don't want your 40-year-old child making you. Maybe you do. I don't know. And then experiences like spas, dinners, whatever. And it's split down the middle, gents. Right now, 27%. It's a three-way tie between flowers, handmade gifts, and experiences. And then jewelry comes in last place, surprisingly.
Handmade gifts, flowers, jewelry. Well, I feel like
experiences.
I feel it's always the effort or feeling loved. And of course, there can be material gifts that you can have, but I always felt like my mom loves flowers.
Yep.
My mom also loves
all the time.
All the time. My mom also just loves to feel the love.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. I think flowers and experiences like that. All of my experiences with my mom have involved with flowers being there. So is that a fair assumption, by the way? I mean, what's Nancy approve of, Zach?
I got her flowers and stuff this year, but I'm obviously I can't, answer this as a non-mom.
No, but you know what your mom.
Yeah. Likes. So I'm going to, I think it's probably flowers. And then, like you said, I think handmade gifts up until a time. Like when I was younger,
like you drew a drawing.
If I tried to if I nailed two pieces of like wood together and was like, oh, I made you a chest this year, man. Like it's just what she'd probably be like, why? Like just go buy one. So like at some age, unless you're good with crafts, it definitely ages out there. But no, I think flowers probably.
Yeah. I feel like my mom likes a little bit all the above. Switch it up. Maybe not every year it's flowers, but maybe it's like an experience this year and then flowers the next year. All the other moms in my life kind of have the same thing, I guess.
I think you just find what works, what's appreciated. Some of it is,
probably more experience heavy.
I think the experience is the big part.
Yeah.
So like yesterday we had Jimbo cooked for, she loves cooking. So she actually made a beautiful dinner for my mom. My mom and Kelly and I did the interview right here, which is also out on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast.
Which had flowers involved.
Which had flowers. Shout out Rennie and Simply Beautiful. Those flowers were simply beautiful.
Hey.
Like that? You see that, Zach? You like that?
Way better than the CQ.
Other things, yeah.
Well, hey, how about that, Zach? I appreciate you, and we appreciate
CQ.
There you go. Look at that.
I think maybe we have to do the throw to somebody because I think you just going, we appreciate you. We appreciate CQ. I don't know if that's working.
See, I thought you did that good. Do that again.
Tossing it. I think
do that again.
It's like the double play promotion.
Do it again.
You got to go. We appreciate you, and we appreciate
you.
And then you hit them with a CQ.
I think you should try that again.
We already just hit it. We got replay systems.
We do.
YouTube. The beauty of YouTube.
Oh yeah, you can.
Someone can just
rewind it that way. Yeah.
Back.
G-Man, this falls along the same lines of experiences. All right, just use your imagination, dude.
All right.
By the way, I did see somebody comment earlier when we had who was this? Yeah, here it is. Literally took John Smoltz interview to get Ryan in on time.
Yep.
Well, also, I avoided the Parkway. So I had other meetings that ended earlier.
Yeah.
Hence, I was actually right around the corner. Not just, Jamie was asking me the other day, why is there traffic on Sunday? Well, we have another 45 minutes. Let's sit down and let me tell you about the Parkway. So
she doesn't have to travel the Parkway like that.
Yeah, so it takes me 84 years to get there. Jack, still can't believe you haven't seen Titanic.
Nah. Well, once again, like that's such a long movie. Like it's one of those. Like I've seen
Pay me
so
like
many
one of your
scenes,
French
but I've never sat down and actually put it all together.
He knows all the memes though.
I was gonna say, yeah, all the memes.
The violin scene.
You know it?
Pay me like one of your French girls. Do you even know that?
Yeah.
Okay, so he knows that.
Well, that's a big, mostly because that's a big one. Like that team social medias will use if one of their players is doing something funny. Anything.
That's the only one. That's the only
anything that like a player's laying down. Usually, a team social media loves posting it with a "paint me like one of your French girls."
What about? The door's not big enough for two people. Jack. That's
yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, when they're in the water.
Yeah, she just let
there
her
was
die.
definitely enough room.
Yeah.
Jack. Yeah, that was tough. That was a tough one right there.
Bitch.
A lot of Titanic memes though recently with a few people taking a boat trip together.
Ooh.
That maybe weren't supposed to be taking boat trips together.
Who is bringing that up during the schedule release? That is
it's going to be the Chargers. The Chargers are definitely going to bring it up. They have been so
the Chargers,
they're going to include it in theirs.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like it's going to be them taking like a boat to New England or something.
Yeah,
I'm a little bit sad that the Ravens, like I love it about the Ravens, but I'm also sad in this situation that the Ravens are way too classy to go that route. But it is still hilarious.
Like the Atlanta Falcons,
the Falcons for sure.
They always are.
Oh, you know who else? The Browns lately have been on one.
Well, Browns, you got just shoot.
Hey, Todd Monken at the ship. Let him just do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I bet there's going to be a bunch of people. I bet you at least one schedule release video for the Browns has them showing up and the Browns not being there, and Todd Monken is elsewhere getting his haircut. That's got to be.
Someone's got to use that somewhere.
Oh my God! Yeah,
it's got to be used.
Oh man, maybe on Wednesday or maybe Thursday. The schedule won't be out by the time we're doing the show, but maybe Wednesday we have some prediction of thoughts.
Yeah, like a bingo card.
Yeah.
Yes, because there's some other moments there. Obviously, a lot of moments there, but.
Yeah.
If you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button and leave a review if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcast. And we're going to break down the interviews. We'll have the full long show that everyone wants to hear the full episode, but we'll also cut down our interviews because we know some people, they might not want to hear 2 hours that are involving hog talk, pole talk, and the Titanic.
Yeah.
But maybe you do. But if you don't worry. We'll have the interviews all out there, and we'll have Fredi Gonzalez joining us here in just a few moments. But again, we appreciate you, and we appreciate
CQ.
Nice. That wasn't loud enough. Can you say it one more time?
CQ.
But look at the camera.
Well, I was trying to follow a story real fast, but I'm not sure how much legs it has, but Schefter reported CQ.
There it is. And you kind of have that like coming to a theater
it's like
near
the movie, the movie voiceover.
CQ.
Well, guys, to show appreciation, both new and current members will get $350 when you open a new CQ Total checking and rewards account by June 30th, 2026. And you got to meet the qualifying conditions within 90 days of account opening. That's just the way it works. Terms and conditions apply. But if you're interested, see full details at cqmd.org/350. The Ryan Ripken Show is sponsored by CQ, federally insured by NCUA. And we appreciate you and Zach.
We appreciate CQ.
That might work.
Thank you.
That might work. No, you're not a fan of that?
So terrible.
I don't think it's terrible. I think all of you are great. I don't care how the Orioles make you feel.
How the Orioles make me feel. Also, are you
in a better mood now? He was so pissed
well, I was
off.
trying when I first got in here.
I don't want to say pissed off. He was just very locked in, which is very uncharacteristic of Zach.
I was like, I showed up. I was like, shit. I was like making sure that all the interviews and stuff were in order for us here. But Schefter did just confirm, as we're just kind of around, Aaron Rodgers did not visit the Steelers this weekend, like was reported. And the Steelers, when the report came out that he was visiting the Steelers, that was a surprise to not only the Steelers, but Aaron Rodgers' agent, who then was like, what do you mean you're visiting the Steelers? And then he didn't. And I believe the Steelers still believed he was going to after they found out.
So, in other words, the Steelers still have no quarterback?
Will Howard, Drew Aller, right? Two options right now?
Yeah, but
I tweet out
there is no named quarterback at this point, I guess.
I would have Will Howard versus Drew Aller. Winner gets to play in the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, Oklahoma drills for the win.
In week 17.
Yeah.
Get Harbaugh in there.
Man, wouldn't that be something, man?
Oh, God.
Well, that's the news, and we'll get some more. We had some baseball news and notes, but we just had a loaded day of guests and people. Heard some stories. I love the fact that Michael K said he didn't know Bobby Cox as well, but that one story about wearing the full uni, that's spectacular. We don't see it nowadays. We don't. John Smoltz joined us earlier, and now then our final guest. Fredi, give me a thumbs up if you're ready to rock. Oh, look at that. He's back. It's been a little bit since we talked to our guy, former Braves manager, former bench coach with the Orioles, he's done broadcasting. You've done work. You coached the World Baseball Classic. I don't know, Fredi. You've done a lot of things. Let's bring on Fredi Gonzalez. Fredi.
How are you?
I'm good. Hey, I mean, what other titles do we have for you?
God, the only title I didn't like there was former. I'm not ready to be a former of anything. I want to keep working, but
okay. I was trying to give you your flowers.
I know. That was just me being funny, but I'm not doing anything other than working on my golf game, but I'm not ready to just do that as a full-time job. I'm still feel like I need to. I still want to give something to the game, and I want to do it. I have the energy, but this year didn't happen.
Well, I know you love being around. You got to be down at the World Baseball Classic for a little bit of time, correct?
Correct. That was Rip. That was fun. That was fun watching these great baseball players. You're always across the diamond from them, and you never know until you live with them. And we only spent 18 days together, but they were all unbelievable people. Aaron Judge is the real deal. I have a man crush on him, and forget the numbers, forget the MVPs and the home runs and the stuff that he does on the field. Just as a leader, as a leader of men, and the way he behaved and the way he carried himself in his presence, it's unbelievable. I even asked. He has a guy, and I'm drawing a blank, that is his mental skills coach from the Yankees, and I got to know him really well and talking baseball. And about the fifth day in, I felt comfortable enough to ask him. I go, "Is this for real? Is this thing?" He goes, "Oh yeah. This is the way he behaves. He has to work on it. Like we all do, right? But he is legit. I am a big Aaron Judge fan."
A lot of people want to hate on him because he plays for the Yankees and they want to try to bring him down. He's one of the best hitters the sport's ever seen. Obviously, I think he's the best just overall hitter in the game for what he's done. And as far as the character, Freddie, like, honest to God, I haven't heard anybody say anything bad about Aaron Judge, like as a person.
It's unbelievable. He goes out of his way to and this guy he walks through the lobby at hotels, and he can't sneak around. He's 6'7", and if there's a little kid in the corner, and he'll go over there and say hi to him, or just give him a little fist pump. And I mean, amazing the way he carries himself, and you're right. I think people hate him just because he wears the New York Yankees uniform, but he is going to be, whenever his career is over with, he's going to be one of those guys that we're going to talk about for a long time.
How was it getting to catch up again with Gunnar?
It was fun. I gave him crap the whole time, and but it was fun. You know what? It was it was a different guy. It was a different Gunnar Henderson that I saw a couple years ago, and I don't know if it was because of the Team USA or how proud he was to wear that uniform, or he's just growing up a little bit. He's maturing a little bit, and it was nice to see. It was nice to see the young man growing up to be a man. And I think he had gotten married in the wintertime, and it's good to see that progress. Keep getting older, more mature, more responsibilities. I wished him. I gave him a hug at the end of the WBC, and I said, you might be the only Oriole I'm going to be watching. Well, that's not true, but it's he's always been and will always be one of my favorite players.
Yeah, I mean, there's a connection there, right? And you get to be right there and get to see him, and it's you've seen the evolution of him specifically, right? So you even have that, the affinity. I mean, heck, Freddie, we're going through it. I know there's some names, obviously they're still in Baltimore, but I think going into opening day roster this year, there were like 6 guys on the team from last year's team, so things have really started to change over the last couple of years.
Yeah, and Rip, I don't know much about the Orioles. I'll look through I'll look through the scores, the box scores, and if I see something pop up, I'll read the story. But I really don't know. But I agree with you. I don't, even the box score, I don't even recognize, but maybe 3 guys, and one of the guys, or one of the 4th guy I recognize, I never saw him. I only saw him in spring training. Was the catcher Basilio. Other than that, it's Gunnar. It's Cowser when he plays. Beavers was in spring training. Monty's hurt. Holliday's hurt. And Rush, I think, and then a couple of guys in the pitching staff. But Dean Kramer, is Dean back in the big leagues, or did he get sent down?
Back, but he got hurt. He was, I think, doing some conditioning and hurt his quad pretty bad. I did tell him, Freddie, I said, dude, you ain't a burner, man. I'll give you my quad if you need to. You ain't built for speed. So hopefully he's back.
Well, he thinks he's the best outfielder that's ever set foot in the outfield. I see him during batter practice, jagging balls, and he thinks he could play center field for anybody in the big league. So I hope his injury it's minor and he could get back out there.
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping. I mean, the Orioles in general are hoping he's back in the next month. But I want to ask you then with Gunnar, because bringing that up, he's been probably one of the topics. And the reason why you can speak on all this is because this isn't just about Gunnar. It's about all young players and players that have a lot of expectation. There's a standard. Gunnar was red hot during the World Baseball Classic. So then the world thought that Gunnar Henderson was going to be having this hot start from the jump. You and I both know that's not how this works. But to me, for the first time, I've seen Gunnar more visibly frustrated. He's not hitting the ball all over the field like he usually does. And he's even said he's having a tough time staying back. And one of the things that the new hitting coach, Dustin Lind, was talking about was saying, we're really trying to change the emphasis to put it in play with 2 strikes, just make something happen. But for a player that goes through struggles, Freddie, it's not the matter of work you're putting in, you know? And could you just detail when guys like him go through struggles? It's this whole mental side that you have to battle through that some people might not understand from the outside.
Yeah, and you know what? And Gunnar is that guy. And even when he's going good, he's probably one of his toughest critics. You know, and he's got some intensity inside of him. And there was a couple of times during, you know, my tenure with him, a couple of 2 years, that there was a couple of times where I had to, you know, get in his face a little bit, you know, and say, hey, relax, you know, stop doing what you're doing and relax, have fun. You're not having fun right now. And, you know, me being there, I don't know, I can't speak to anything other than for I can speak to in the past, but, you know, he is so intense and he's so hard on himself. And then maybe it's just a matter of just backing off a little bit, you know, and relaxing. I don't know the philosophies of hitting that's going on there, but if what you said, I like it. You know, I always said, my father used to say, hey, funny things happen when you put the ball in play, you know, and especially with 2 strikes and men on third base. Funny things happen. The guy's got to pick it up and throw it across the diamond. It might be an error, but you know what? You may score the run. Instead of just doing your, you know, your soldier boy impersonation walking back to the dugout, you know, with your bat on your shoulder.
Right.
But you know, I think it's a long season, Rip. Like, as you know, and we all know, it's a long season. You're gonna go through some ebbs and flows, and I got my money on Gunnar that at the end of the year, at the end of the season, he's gonna be okay. He's gonna be okay. But I think
go ahead, Freddie. Sorry.
No. I think that would be my message to him if I was sitting next to him. You know, again, I'm not, and I would encourage him to, like, hey man, just relax. You know, not every at bat is do or die or a death if you don't get what you wanted. And sometimes I would tell him. Sometimes I go, hey Gunnar, they're allowed to catch the ball. You know, you hit a rocket in left center field, and the center fielder runs it down because he's a, you know, Gold Glove guy. They're allowed to catch it. Just keep swinging it. You know, keep swinging.
Yeah, this is probably, you know, he's hitting right around 200 right now, midway through May. It's probably his worst stretch since he was a rookie, you know, and above all, right, I like the part of you explaining it's not about physical skills. There's a, can you relax? Can you reframe your mind and trust that your talent of what you've done, you'll get back to that. But when you are a little bit intense or you get frustrated, it's not Gunnar. This is an every player thing. You tense up and you don't play freely. When you don't play freely, you make more mistakes. You make more mistakes, right. The results don't turn out the way that you want. So it's all in routine and all part of it. You know, Freddie, kind of leading into about lessons and you get to sit down and you learn so much. The reason why I also wanted you to join today was, you know, we talked to John Smoltz earlier, and, you know, okay, you obviously had your connection down in Atlanta with Bobby Cox and just the impact he not only had in that region with that organization. You know, what are some of the lessons maybe throughout the game that you've learned and maybe the impact that people don't know that was on the day-to-day that maybe had direct influence on you?
Rip, you know what? I say this, and my wife always tells, you know, my wife, we've been reminiscing. She goes, you know, the best thing to remember people is to talk about them. You know, so I've been talking about Bobby Cox a lot, you know, with her and stories and with some people that I've called. The biggest thing I could, and I watched him every day for 6 years. And then when I came back to manage the same, it's patience. He has so much patience with his players. He loved his players. If Gunnar Henderson was playing for him and he was 0 for 15, he'd better be prepared to go 0 for 45 because he's going to run him in there every single day and let him figure it out. You know, he would bring him in the office and talk to him and knows that he's got his back, but he'll tell Gunnar, I said, you're going to play and you're going to play until you tell me you don't want to play anymore, you know, and because he has patience and he has loyalty and he's the biggest fans, and it's not only with the best players, it's with everybody, you know, and I think that was one of the biggest attributes that that I saw day in, day out. I tell a story about with Kelly Johnson coming up to the big leagues. And I would sit down with Bobby in the dugout, prior to the game and prior to BP, just to talk baseball, see what you could sponge off him, right? And he'll have I had a cup of coffee, and he'll have his press scrum there in the dugout, 3 or 4 guys talking, and Kelly Johnson was going through something like Gunner's going through, or any player's going through, and they're asking him how come he keeps playing Kelly Johnson. And I think Kelly was 1 for 25 at the time, and it's just like, and Bobby, without missing a beat, he goes, Kelly Johnson's swing remind me of Stan Musial. And I'm like, I almost threw my coffee up. I'm like, I go, Skip. In my mind, I'm going, Stan Musial? You're comparing Kelly Johnson to Stan Musial. I don't know if it's coincidence. I don't know if Kelly Johnson read it or one of the reporters went and told about Kelly Johnson. Rip, he won Player of the Week that next week. From that day on, he won he was a player, the MLB National League Player of the Week. And I'm going, man, oh man, that little sentence, his swing reminds me of Stan Musial, which everybody loves Stan Musial. And I'm like, oh. But that's the type of manager that he was. He encouraged, he supported his players, he trusted them, and he was their biggest cheerleader.
Yeah, Smoltz was just like you, beyond complimentary of the style, the way he instilled confidence, the way he wanted to try to get the most out of the guys, and also he was going to run you out there. You understood where you were on that ball club. And I think that put a lot of confidence in players. I think it's crazy for you to think about this now. I don't even know if that record will be topped. But 14 straight years. I mean, the Dodgers try to flirt with it, right? The Dodgers are trying to win the West every year, but it's a very rare occurrence to do what the Braves did during that timeline. Is it? Yeah. For the demeanor of a manager, right? Like Bobby, is it just that he didn't waver through all the times? What was another one of his strengths besides maybe instilling the confidence?
Well, I think the success that him and I'm going to give John Shorholtz a lot of credit too, and the Atlanta Braves and Bobby Cox during those 14 seasons of winning the divisions. Then they never got old. They got their core players. They got, Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones, and Javi, and they kept them in Glavine and Maddox and Smoltz until they couldn't keep him anymore as far as salary wise. But they kept them and they believed in it. And then every year they would plug in a new guy. They would plug in Marcus Giles, or they plug in Rafael Foucault, or they do Frank Gore. They would do McCann. They never, LaRoche, right? I could go on and on and on about. They never got old. They always seemed to keep the core of their players, and just plug in a new player and keep the young, the young energy there. And I think that was one of the biggest reasons they ran 14 straight division, and plus some pretty darn good pitching. Could help also. Another trait that Bobby had was he never panicked. I'm sitting there and in the dugout 25 minutes before the game, and Bobby's down in he called it the radar room, smoking a cigar, and I'm watching Smoltz pitch or warming up. And next thing I see Smoltz in the camera, and I see Smoltz laying on the pitcher's mound in the bullpen, laying on his back. Right. And I'm like, oh, what the hell had just happened? Right. So I go down to the radar room, and Bobby's he can see it from the radar room smoking a cigar. I said, Skip, Smoltzy's on the ground. He's thrown he goes, hey, don't worry about it. Smoltzy's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. You watch. He never even, and sure enough, Smoltzy comes in and he goes, Bobby, I don't know. I don't know if I could go. Bobby goes, what do you got? You got an inning? You got 2 innings? What do you got? He goes, I don't know. I don't even know if I got one pitch. Well, fast forward, I think Smoltz pitched like 6 innings of shutout baseball. Maybe he got 2 hits, and he was fine. And Bobby, he knew Smoltz. He knew that he was going to be fine. He knew he could push him, and he never even panicked. Like, oh my God, who's going to throw next? Do we have enough pitching? He's just like, okay, whatever you got, give me. But you talk about a steady hand of pitching staff or running a pitching staff. Best tactician of a baseball game that I've ever been around. The best. Handling the bullpen, handling his bench. I've never seen anything like it. And I respect it, and the players respected him because of his steady hand. Sitting having coffee in the morning at the hotels, and I would tell him, you talk about not panicking. I would, we lose 5 in a row, and he was the same guy. And I would say, Skipper, I said, tell me how you do this. He goes, this game is hard enough to play without these players coming in every day and wondering what the manager is going to feel, was how the manager is going to behave, whether he's, rah-rah when they won 6 in a row, or he is in a bad mood when they lost 6 in a row. He goes, I want the players to come in, know that they're going to play, and not have to worry about what's the manager's attitude is going to be that day. And if somebody comes in from outer space and comes to my office and sits down and has a conversation with me, I don't want to appear that I've lost 10 in a row or won 10 in a row. I want to be the same guy always. And you know what? And he did it. And it's easier said than done, right? You've seen guys, you've played for guys, I myself, right? I've seen myself come in and grouchy and stuff because we've lost 4 in a row, and we got Doc Holliday tonight against us, so it's going to be 7 in a row, and you're grouchy, you're not yourself. So, but he had a knack to do it, and he did it, for a lot of years.
It's so important. And there's not a coincidence that the Braves obviously got a lot of talent. And I hate that in some cases, Freddie, in a day and age where, it's not just baseball, but it's sports in general, when they talk about managers and coaches and saying the impact and importance of having a guy lead the team, I'd argue it's important now as ever. You need to make sure that person is still running the ship, and it's not a coincidence that the Braves won all those years and had those guys reach their potential. It helps having the people in line there that can help them reach those heights, push them appropriately, and make sure that he can be the steady hand when things go up and down. So, Freddie, is there anything I should know about before I let you go?
No, just trying to get my handicap down, and hopefully get me back in a uniform here, if not this year, or maybe next year someplace.
Well, I know you're a baseball lifer, and I'm hoping I see you there sooner than later. But I'll be sure to bother you again soon. And what's our handicap then, real quick?
It's a 12 right now, so I'm kind of like, it's hard right now to go one. I'm trying to go single digit, but it's hard. I spent a lot of time banging balls in the range, but it's your dad, or you play golf, so it's usually 2 holes, right? There's usually 2 holes. You're shooting well, and then here comes one into the woods on the lake, and there's a 9 on the scorecard, but we'll work on it.
Yeah, we're working on it. I'd be like with Bobby then. I need a nice stogie for that to maybe some tequila to help me play better, right? It's the confidence.
Hey, whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. Well, Freddie, I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Best to you and the fam, and we'll talk to you soon.
Always great talking with you. So ring me up anytime you want.
All right, Freddie. Appreciate you. Fredi Gonzalez, everybody. It's always good hearing stories. I also love just hearing how teams are being run. And Bobby Cox is a baseball legend, but also a manager like Bobby Cox, why they are a legend is how you handle it on the day-to-day. And people can be mad about that. It's the same thing I look at with what's going on with the Dodgers and Dave Roberts. You could say they got super talent. They do. But damn it, dude, Dave Roberts is a really good manager. Yeah. You don't win enough games if you don't have that infrastructure in place. And for the Braves, they had great players and they had the infrastructure and manager in place during that timeline. And it teaches so many lessons. And John Smoltz, Hall of Famer, is saying for himself and his career, he doesn't get to the level of his career and the growth and the confidence if it wasn't for a man like Bobby Cox. So we want to throw that managers don't matter. No, they do. I know that their roles of what they can and can't do nowadays are the ones that's been talked about, but that can be for a different day. Because, boys, I got to get ready to go do pregame over at Pickles. What do you got?
Last thing before we get out of here, some kind of big news out of the Orioles organization. Nicole Sherry is departing from the team this week. She has been the head groundskeeper at Camden Yards since 2006. So she is leaving the club for an opportunity outside of professional sports. And then, so that's cool. And then Jackson Holliday and Heston Kerstead moving their rehabs to AAA beginning tomorrow. Ryan Helsley says no ligament damage, just waiting for swelling to subside, throwing a weighted ball in the next few days, and he'll need a few rehab outings. But Nicole Sherry, shout out her for
shout out.
Wow.
What a run.
What a run, and one of the best in the business. You ever seen Camden Yards? You ever look at that field closely? Go, damn, that's a good-looking yard.
I'm kind of sad about that.
No, I am too. That was like a bombshell. I was on Twitter looking at the stuff because they just had their press conference with Albie, and I was like, okay, what did they say? And all of a sudden I see, Sherry's gone. I was like, whoa.
She's probably like the only groundskeeper, I would imagine, in the MLB that fans actually know about.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to be mean to the other groundskeepers, but obviously, like, that's just not a name that people probably know if you're a fan of some other baseball team. But in Baltimore here, everybody knows who Nicole is.
And how she has maintained Camden Yards.
Yeah.
The park itself. It all goes hand in hand. Well, congratulations to her on her next endeavor.
Yeah.
And what she's moving on to. Certainly will be missed. And congratulations on a great run with the Baltimore Orioles. Thank you for making the field look pristine.
Yeah.
And as my friend Charles Cross, you guys have met Charles.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Charles will say it's one of the best mounds he's ever pitched on. Charles wasn't a professional baseball player. So I would think pitching at Camden Yards,
It's got to be up there.
it's one of the best mounds.
How long was she with the O's again?
22. So she's wait, let me make sure I got that right. Or I guess 20 years exactly. She started in 2006.
That's what I thought. For some reason I thought 07, but yeah. But either way, it's a long ass time.
Long ass time. Well, we appreciate all of you. We appreciate CQ. Gosh, Zach, you do it.
Appreciate you, and we appreciate CQ.
You know what, Zach? Do that again, except say you can bank on it.
You can bank on it.
Not bad.
I like that better.
Not bad right there.
I like that better.
Well, also, don't forget about AutoStream. You get 10% off any service for the month of May. Just say Kelly Ripken's name. That's an easy one to say. Kelly Ripken, $10 off any service at AutoStream Car Care Center. Hey, now say, Hut, Zach.
Boom.
I'm glad you're a little bit better now. I'm glad you're a little bit happier. Birds win game one.
You can bank on it.
You can bank on it. All right, cue the music.
This is what you pay me for.
Yeah, said Hut, Red 7. As always, here at the Ryan Ripken Show, we appreciate each and every one of you. You have a day, you have a night. Enjoy the first game of the Orioles Yankees. Come back and join us tomorrow. We got another guest joining us. It's the Ryan Ripken Show. We're live Monday through Friday, right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook.
Bank on it.